Tonight, nearly 200 private schools have shut their doors to education forever due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I am not saying that their businesses were built on quicksand, but like for many other SMEs, they did not have the right capital to keep them afloat for so long. Some have been turned into residential houses, hospitals, business centers, and even chicken farms. And it is not wrong to bow to forces of nature when they come calling, but be it as it may, we may also need to appreciate that thousands of innocent school-going children do not have a school to go back to. A bigger disaster is for hundreds of KCPE and KCSE candidates who now do not have centers where they shall write national tests in March next year. Well, when it rains, as some say, it pours. Some candidates, with the help and support of their parents, had already secured admission in public schools, partly because their previous schools were closed or their parents could manage the hefty fees charged in private schools. A good number lost their jobs, and for others, their businesses dipped big time. But that effort to see their national examinations candidate children continue with education could be a problem on top of another tonight. The Kenya National Examination Council, NEC, says candidates cannot change examination centers this late. But should it be a compelling reason from NEC, really? The candidates reported for school 7 months after the COVID-19 chased them out of class with no warning, only to come back and find their classes full of chicks and their play field planted with kales and spinach. The most obvious and reasonable thing they would have done is to look for an alternative school, and the public schools were not an easy pick. It is therefore amusing to hear an education stakeholder as senior as NEC saying those unfortunate children have no option. The only for them is to wait for their school proprietors to consider reverting their businesses back to schools. And by so doing, NEC is exuding an instance of selective amnesia. What the national body, examination body, is forgetting is it is its prerogative to ensure all registered candidates sit for their national examinations in March 2020, with or without examination centers. Blocking them from joining new schools is not only counterproductive, but also an act of inconsideration. The candidates are tonight worried. Their parents are bewildered. It's only fair that an explanation and a solution is accorded to them pronto. Good evening. That is our voice tonight. These are the stories making headlines tonight. Deputy President William Ruto's allies cancelled Friday's Murang'a meeting, citing what they say is a calculated move to bar the Deputy President from attending by moving this week's cabinet meeting to tomorrow. Also tonight, the court fails to stop the implementation of the new public gathering security directives, even as NAK Kenya party leader Martha Karua accuses the state of gagging democracy. Plus, school heads assure hundreds of candidates whose examination centers were closed down completely due to COVID-19 that they will sit for the national examinations in alternative centers. And over 1,000 young Maasai boys initiated into adulthood at a colorful event in Kajiado County. Good evening. Tonight of all nights, Anne Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi, begins right now. Form 4 and Class 8 candidates in schools that have been shut down are in dilemma over alternative examination centers. School heads say that the Kenya National Examination Council, NEC, is obliged to make the candidates alternative centers, The Ministry of Education has already said learners from schools that have been submerged by floods will be relocated, as our Education Affairs reporter Andrin Kilemi reports.
Parents and learners in both Form 4 and Class 8 in schools that have been closed due to either COVID-19 or floods are still in confusion over alternative examination centers. Education stakeholders, however, say there is no cause for alarm, as the Kenya National Examination Council is obliged to provide alternative examination centers for such extreme cases.
If a school is closed, and the Kenya National Examination Council knows very well that there is enough evidence that this school is closed, it will not open again, and these students have had to sit examinations elsewhere, Kenya National Exam Council is under obligation to ensure that such candidates sit their exams.
The center is about the government, and the government will take care of the center. Make no mistake. No child will miss their exams because a school has closed. No child will miss the exams because their school has closed.
All right.
Yeah, the exams are a government function. They are not a private school function. Yes, you don't register at a private school. No, you are sitting in a private school, you register in NEC for an exam.
Okay.
NEC will make sure you sit for that exam.
Some schools have already been submerged in floods in areas such as Baringo, Turkana and other parts of the Rift Valley. Education PS Dr. Belio Kipsang, however, assured parents that it is easy to relocate those learners and that they will not be required to pay extra fees.
On the secondary schools, we've not had so many problems because some of them are boarding schools, and it is easy to relocate those who are in boarding schools. We have engaged with the schools where such children have been taken, that even if the school that they are going to, their fees is higher than the school they came from, that the school from which they came from is the prevailing fees, so that no child is disadvantaged.
School heads, however, warned that parents who transfer their kids from one school to another without valid reasons risk cancellation of their national examinations.
But there is that element of a parent choosing to transfer his child because of maybe one reason or the other to go and study in school B from school A. And it could be because this parent has a large fee balance in school A, so he wants to avoid it to go to school B. Such a candidate cannot sit his or her exams in that school B.
It is only in extreme circumstances that they allow a student to change centers. Extreme circumstances. That's why you're not hearing noise from Kenya Private Schools Association or Kenya Secondary School Heads Association or the KEPSHA. That's why you're wondering, mbona watu wakisoma wamenyamaza hivi? It's because this is the norm.
Okay.
You are then placed in a center near you if the extenuating circumstances are if there are no extreme circumstances. If there are extreme circumstances, they do have a procedure for that. But it is not a routine thing just to change centers just like that.
Kenya Secondary School Heads Association Chairman Kahi Indimuli has further urged parents to come up with payment plans to enable schools stay afloat.
When you bring this child to school without fees at all, this child, and in a boarding school, services have to be provided. This child has to eat, this child has to be taken care of. There are a lot of things, and all these require finances. Now, when all parents bring them back without money, how do I run that institution?
With over 193 private schools shut over coronavirus, candidates in those particular institutions will now have to wait for a further directive from the Kenya National Examination Council for alternative examination centers. Andrin Kilemi, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, Deputy President William Ruto was in Nyamira County today after his last week's meeting flopped. Ruto, advancing his hustler narrative, insisted that he will not support a BBI initiative that supports the creation of political seats. Meanwhile, a similar meeting that was scheduled for Muranga tomorrow has been cancelled. Joash Onsare with the details.
After a meeting that was scheduled for last week was postponed, Deputy President William Ruto was in Nyamira County for a fundraiser at Sironga grounds.
Abantu bami ntombo ya more.
Ruto, in his address, said he is opposed to a BBI report that seeks to create more seats.
Na musidanganywe ati lazima kila wakati tunaletewa mambo ya viongozi, sijui prime minister, sijui mamlaka, sijui vyeo. Siku gani tutaongea hustle ya mtu mdogo Kenya, if it is not now? Na ndio wanasema wanataka kubadilisha katiba, sisi tunasema tunataka kubadilisha mjadala. Yes. Wanasema ati tubadilishe katiba kuwe na prime minister. Tunasema tubadilishe mjadala, mwananchi mdogo tuanze kuzungumza mambo yake. Wanyamira tunakubaliana.
His sentiments coming ahead of a meeting between President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Parliament's leadership scheduled for Saturday. President Uhuru Kenyatta is likely to receive the BBI report during that meeting at State House. Ruto's meeting in Nyamira came in the wake of a directive by the National Security Council on political gatherings, a directive the DP and his allies claim is aimed at taming his camp.
Mimi nataka niombe viongozi wenzangu, musituletee siasa duni ya ukabila, ya kwetu na kwenu na kwao. Sisi tuko Kenya hii sote, na kila mahali Kenya hii hakuna Mkenya mgeni in any part of Kenya.
Last week's meeting was cancelled after police claimed they were not notified as directed by the Joseph Kinyua-led committee.
Si lazima watu wakule tiagazi wajue wewe ni mkubwa. Wewe kama hutaki watu ya bodaboda wasaidiwe, si wasaidie. Na kama unaona bodaboda ni kitu kidogo na wewe ni mkubwa, si wasaidie na gari ama ndege ama meli.
Wala ambao hawataki wewe kuja hapa, tunakuambia tafadhali watupe nafasi.
A similar meeting that was scheduled for Friday in Murang'a County has also been postponed. The fundraiser was postponed following a scheduled cabinet meeting that will take place in Savo.
Meeting that we were supposed to have in Mathioya and Kagema tomorrow has been postponed because because cabinet has been moved from Thursday to Friday. Personally, I believe so that they can defeat the visit of the Deputy President.
Joash Onsare, TV47.
Moving on, the High Court has declined to issue temporary orders suspending the implementation of the National Security Advisory Committee guidelines on political gatherings. This as leaders continue to criticize the guidelines that were approved by the cabinet, terming them unconstitutional. David Mudoka reports.
Recent security measures on political gatherings announced by the National Security Advisory Committee will continue to be enforced after the High Court on Thursday declined to suspend their implementation. This comes days after the Law Society of Kenya moved to court to challenge the guidelines, terming them discriminatory and with the intent to suppress divergent views. Justice Anthony Murimi has, however, certified LSK's petition as urgent and directed parties in the case to file their responses by close of business on Friday to facilitate a hearing.
Anyway, asanteni sana.
This as the government continues to come under sharp criticism from a section of leaders over the disputed guidelines. The measures provide that a convener or any person intending to hold a public gathering must notify the relevant police station commander 3 to 14 days earlier. Speaking at the NAK Kenya Party headquarters on Thursday, NAK Kenya Party leader Martha Karua has accused the government of attempting to overthrow the constitution by implementing measures that instigate political bias.
Illegitimate exercise of unlimited authority by this administration is in effect an overthrow of the Constitution of Kenya. The President and those acting in his name have no authority to deny the Deputy President or any other constitution office holder the right to exercise their mandate or purport to sanction them using unlawful means.
On the other hand, leaders allied to Deputy President William Ruto have further slammed the government over the measures, stating they do not exist in the constitution. This comes barely a week after Ruto's meetings with boda operators in Nyamira County were cancelled by Nyamira County Commissioner Amos Mariba in the wake of the announcement of the security guidelines.
The illegal enforcement of the directives on public order by an illegal entity guised as the National Security Advisory Committee that exists nowhere in our constitution, that exists nowhere in any legal statute.
In this country, there is no issue, there is no position, there is nothing like the government have stated when we have functional parliament that can sit down and make the laws that we require in this country.
On her part, Kandara legislator Alice Wahome has called for the resignation of Interior CS Fred Matiang'i and Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutyambai over recent chaos witnessed in Murang'a.
Those two public state officers should resign if they did not know, if there are cases that they did not know.
David Muthoka, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, David Mudhoka, for that report. You are watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi. Your voice matters, your opinion counts. Keep talking to us. The hashtag to use on Twitter is TV47 News. Send us a message on 22047. Let me sample some of your views. Henry Osembo says tuned from Ruben. Judith says tuned. Anderson Mugendi says I'm watching TV47 from Meru County. Yamba Odwor says locked in. Time for us to take a short break. We'll be back with more news after this break. Don't go too far.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
He is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wanyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP na TNA na vyama vingine tanzu, ndio tukaunda chama inaitwa Jubilee.
Mijadala komavu kuhusu yanayokuhusu, na zaidi ya yote tunakupa nafasi kumfahamu kiongozi wako katika kipindi Fahamu Kiongozi.
Yako kama mtoto ilikuwa gani?
Mimi nilizaliwa, sasa najuaje maisha ilikuwa.
Wakati namuuliza maisha.
Kwanza ilikuwa tu ni jaribu kabisa kufikia pahali ambapo nitafika Nairobi. Najua ilikuwa ni kazi ambayo ilichukua siku mingi sana kufika Nairobi.
Kila siku ya Jumatano kuanzia saa 1:30 hadi saa 2:30. Ungana naye Elizabeth Mutuku, usikose.
It is said that cooking is one of the greatest gifts you can give those you love, because nothing brings people together like good food. Join Chef Hamadi every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. as he teaches us some simple and quick recipes, only on The Throwdown.
You are the mighty God, the great I am. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
This and every Sunday, TV47 brings church straight to your home. Come, worship straight from your home as we bring you the Sunday church service at the All Saints Cathedral from 11 a.m.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
He is not.
back to TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi. Let's get more news. And former IEBC Commissioners Consolata Nkatha, Paul Kurgat and Margaret Mwachanya are among Kenyans who have been appointed in the latest Foreign Service reshuffle by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Nkatha, the former IEBC Vice Chair, has been picked as the Deputy Head of Mission in Rome, Italy, while her ex-colleague Paul Kurgat and Margaret Mwachanya will occupy similar positions in Moscow, Russia, and Islamabad, Pakistan, respectively. The three former IEBC officials resigned from the commission in April 2018, accusing IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati of being incapable of running the electoral body's affairs. Now, doctors in Nairobi County have started yet another round of strike today, days after they resumed to work. Addressing the press led by KMPDU Secretary General, the union accused Nairobi Metropolitan Services NMS of failing to implement the agreement signed on the 26th of August.
After signing a back-to-work formula on the 26th of August with the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, doctors in Nairobi are back on the streets. This time, accusing NMS for failing to implement the conditions agreed upon on the back-to-work formula.
We're back to the streets again. It's unfortunate. We all know that on the 21st of August, we issued a 7-day strike notice, which started on the 28th.
According to the union, most doctors have not yet been paid, and those who have been paid have received huge pay cuts. The doctors also complaining of lack of a medical cover, all this despite being frontline workers during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Nairobi Metropolitan Service will conclude negotiation of a comprehensive medical cover by the NHIF and issue cards by 4th of September. That has not since happened. So up to now, we still don't have a medical cover. We also agreed that there are four consultants have to be put on payroll and paid their 26-month salary. Now, currently, as we speak, is the 27th month. They have not been paid.
The union has now advised its members to down their tools until NMS makes good of its word by addressing their grievances.
We had committed that by the 5th of every month, we will be downing our tools unless we have been paid. It's unfortunate that today, the 15th, most of the doctors have not been paid their September salary.
NMS has responded to the claims, saying that the delay has been caused by Treasury due to the revenue sharing standoff that caused a delay in the disbursement of funds to counties. Zainab Mohammed, TV47.
The Shona community living in the country today took to Parliament to hand over their motion demanding to be recognized as Kenyans. The community has been in an identity limbo since independence, and they are classified as stateless.
The quest of being recognized as Kenyans and the 45th tribe by the Shona community, who reside in parts of Kiambu County, was thus taken to Parliament. Members of this community handed over their motion to the Parliamentary Caucus on Citizenship, chaired by and a Member of Parliament Otiende Amolo, and the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs.
The case of the unregistered in this country is a case that desires to be done justice to, and we will do everything possible to ensure that every Shona is not just a resident of Kino, is not just a resident of Kikuyu, but is a full citizen of this country.
Tunataka mupate pia NHIF, program ya serikali ya universal healthcare. Mupate NHIF cards zenyu pia. So I'm appealing to the President Uhuru Kenyatta. These are Kenyan citizens that came before independence. Their grandfathers came before independence. Your father recognized them, gave them a piece of land because they were very spiritual people.
The members of these committees pledged their unwavering support and the legal push to ensure this community get their recognition as Kenyans, as it is their right. A majority of the Shonas have been born in Kenya, and as such, their roots in Zimbabwe cannot be established there since they are Kenyans by birth.
The President is aware of your plight, and this function that we are having today is an extremely important one because we are bringing it to light and reminding the leadership of this country that indeed you, the Shona people, are part and parcel of Kenya.
Watu wakishikwa wanaambiwa tutakushika, tukufunge, tukurudishe kwenu. That is what the police often tell them. Now the question is, kwao ni wapi? Because they were born here. Kuna wazee wanaongea Kikuyu fluent because they were born here. Sasa umrudishe kwao ni wapi? Hana travel document, hana document, utamrudishaje hata ukitaka?
We treat this community in our constituency as part and parcel of our community. Iwe ni basari tunawapea hata bila kuitisha kitambulisho sababu tunajua hawana.
They expressed their grievances, their plight and the tribulations they have gone through, especially in the hands of law enforcement officers as stateless people. They decried illegal arrest, discrimination and their children dropping out of school, all because they are Bayan's identity.
It was hard to access bursaries because even though your parents don't have the documents, the IDs, we don't have. So at that time when tulimaliza now, it was so hard, it was so difficult and almost impossible to get the birth certificate.
Na kimekuwa kitu cha kusikitisha sana, tumeishi maisha magumu sana. Tumejaribu kwenda kwa ofisi kadhaa za serikali kutoka hapo awali tukifuatilia kutafuta usaidizi, lakini kulikuwa na jambo tulikuwa tunajibiwa ambalo lilikuwa moja la kusema constitution haina kipengele ambacho kinaturuhusu sisi kusajiliwa.
The Kenya Human Rights Commission that has been championing for their identity has requested the MPs to work around the clock to ensure the Shonas are granted identity before the year ends. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, more than 1,000 Morans were earlier today initiated into adulthood in a colorful ceremony in Kajiado County. The Morans swore to protect the Maasai culture and assured young Maasai girls that they will fight FGM and early marriages.
Chanting, clad in traditional Maasai attire, with some even dyeing their hair blood red, about 1,000 Morans in Eldamat, Kajiado County, danced away their last youthful days as they were initiated into the Kimayana age group.
Vijana wakisha kuwa wakubwa watairiwe, alafu wanapatiana jina ya wanapewa jina.
Led by Chief Simon Tinga, the Morans received blessings from the Maasai elders who presided over the ritual. The celebrations took a different turn after one of the Morans was overwhelmed by the process, amusing everyone. This forced the elders to calm him down by giving him a bride. Speaking during the event, the newly appointed head of today's graduating age group, Evans Loan, swore to protect the Maasai culture, further assuring young Maasai girls that they will oppose outdated cultural practices such as FGM and early marriages.
The society, we are an age that has accepted change. And the radical changes that are coming in our country and in the world, we accept them because we are learned people. And so, concerning the FGM, we are supporting our girls to say that no FGM.
This rite of passage introduces the young Morans into adulthood and reminds them that they are now responsible adults to whom the society looks up in various fields, including leadership. Musa Salah, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, the government says the rising water lake in Baringo is an environmental challenge. The President has directed Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa to find a permanent solution to the challenge. Experts have been deployed on the ground to address the issue. The rising lakes have affected education, tourism, wildlife and transport, with PSs from the respective ministries meeting to address short-term and long-term interventions.
It is not a local problem. It is a global problem. It is as a result of climate change. Na hii sio mambo ya Baringo County, sio mambo ya Kenya, it is a global challenge. Mambo ya climate change. Leo nataka nimwambie Waswahili wanasema mgeni njoo, mwenyeji afanye nini? Mumetukaribisha siku ya leo. Na hapa tuko na viongozi kutoka wizara mbalimbali. Nilikuwa hapa wiki kadhaa zilizopita. Tukaleta kwanza msaada kusaidia wale walikuwa wameathirika. Lakini niliahidi nitarudi tena. Na wanasema ahadi ni nini? Sasa hiyo deni niliahidi ya kwamba nikirudi Nairobi tunaenda kuunda a multi-agency team ambayo itakuja kuangalia shida ambazo zinawakumba. Hiyo team, I'm happy nikirudi Baringo County siku ya leo imeundwa na iko inafanya kazi.
From Baringo to Nakuru, we are following the approval of a bill allowing PSVs back into the Central Business District. Matatu operators in Nakuru have today made preparations to resume operations in the town tomorrow morning. The bill that will see at least 2 matatus from each of the 86 matatu SACCOs operating within the CBD was unanimously supported and approved by the members of the County Assembly.
Matatu operators were busy fumigating their offices at the Nakuru Central Business District in preparations to make an entry into the CBD tomorrow. This is after the County Assembly of Nakuru approved a bill allowing PSVs back into the town, with each of the 86 SACCOs in Nakuru County being allowed to have at least 2 vehicles in the CBD as a short-term plan.
Kaunti yetu kupitia kwa waheshimiwa wetu waliweza kupitisha msaada ambao unasema ya kwamba turudishe magari yetu town. Ndiposa tunataka kuchukua hiyo jukumu ya kuweza kutayarisha maofisi yetu, kupika dawa na pia kuweza kuweka wafanyakazi wetu tayari.
The matatu operators are now suggesting that Nakuru Governor Lee Kinyanjui's Nakuru Town Planning projects should be developed as the matatu business continues in the CBD.
Kwa governor tunaweza kumwambia kwamba vile anasema anataka kupanua, si lazima apanue kwenda kando, anaweza hata kupanua kwenda juu, kwa sababu hizi nyumba ambazo ziko hapa akijenga apandishe juu, si bado huku chini kutabaki parking. Kwa hivyo magari yataweza kutoshea na biashara zingine zitaweza kutoshea.
Central Rift Matatu Owners Association Chairman Stephen Muli said the decision by the Assembly to allow them back into the CBD was a move in the right direction to see their businesses resume to normalcy.
Wakati walipitisha hiyo msaada, tukaona sasa hakuna haja ya kuharibu wakati, tuweze kurudi kwa maofisi yetu tuandae ili kazi iweze kuanza mara moja. Kwa hivyo hizo komiti zote ambao zimetengenezwa ni kwa manufaa na kwa faida yetu kuweza kurudi kwa kasi yetu.
Nano Cloren, TV47.
From Nakuru to Msambweni, where the IEBC has cleared Faisal Bader, Charlotte Akinyi and Mansuri Kumaka to run for the Msambweni by-elections as independent candidates. Other candidates will be cleared tomorrow for the duel set for December 15th. Maria Mwacharo reports.
Wanalia, wanalia. Wanalia, wanalia.
The exercise started in the morning with the first independent candidate, Charlotte Akinyi, qualifying and being approved to officially start campaigning. Mansuri Kumaka later arrived but was soon sent back for the lack of proper documentation required for the exercise. According to the returning officer Yusuf Abubakar, the exercise will involve different candidates, both independent and from different parties, taking place for 2 days.
Mgombea wa kwanza ambaye ametoka tu saizi hapa anaitwa Charlotte
na wa pili ni ataitwa anakuja ameingia tu saizi anaitwa Mansur. Kisha saa 8 tutakuwa na Faisal, naye Charles Bilali atafunga shughuli ya leo. Kesho tutakuwa na wagombea ambao wanaidhinishwa na chama mbalimbali ama vyama mbalimbali. Na kwanza tutakuwa ni wa DP, kisha tunaye wa Kadu Asili, tunaye wa ODM, alafu tuna wa UGM, tuna National Vision Party, Party of Economic Democracy, na hatimaye wa Wiper ndio watafunga shughuli ya kesho ambayo ndio siku ya mwisho, anatarajiwa kuja saa 9.
Next was Faisal Bader, who got the green light to start campaigns for the December 15 race, to which he wasted no time. He immediately proceeded to a public rally that was attended by various politicians, including former Machakos Senator Johnson Muthama, former Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale, nominated Kilifi Senator Christine Zawadi, MPs Khatib Mwashetani and Benjamin Dalu, among others.
Ati tukiungana sisi ni lazima tuende BBI. BBI maana yake ni kwamba makabila matano katika Kenya yashike madaraka. Kwa gari langu niko na nyundo na niko na msumari. Kutafuta ile MV ODM, mimi tayari nimedunga msumari hapo, imetoboka, maji na ingia ndani, kile chombo kitazama hivi karibuni.
Faisal Bader was confident that he'd emerge winner in the 15th December battle, warning his opponents to prepare well for a strong match.
Wale wapinzani wangu wajiweke tayari sasa, kwa sababu mimi niko tayari, niko gangari, kazi imeanza rasmi leo. Na kwa uwezo wa Mungu mimi najua tarehe 15 saa 6 mchana mimi nitakuwa nimeibuka mshindi na nitakuwa mbunge wa Msambweni.
On Friday, more candidates from different parties will take part in the clearance exercise that will allow them to contest in the by-election proper. Mariam Mwacharo, TV47, Kwale County.
Thank you, Mariam Mwacharo, for that report. You are watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi. Keep talking to us. The hashtag to use is TV47 News. Send us a message. Share with us your thoughts. Mark Omolo says Shona should be registered. They have stayed for many years like they did to Makonde. Mark says he's watching TV47 from Bondo, Siaya County. Edith Kilungu says watching from Bahrain. William Chumba says watching from Nandi. Robert Adera says watching from Mombasa. Keep talking to us. Time for us to take another short break. Don't go too far. We'll be back after this.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
Kuna Uhuru he is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wanyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP na TNA na vyama vingine tanzu, ndio tukaunda chama inaitwa Jubilee.
Mijadala komavu kuhusu yanayokuhusu, na zaidi ya yote tunakupa nafasi kumfahamu kiongozi wako katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi.
Yako kama mtoto ilikuwa gani?
Mimi nilizaliwa, sasa najuaje maisha ilikuwa.
Wakati namuuliza maisha.
Kwanza ilikuwa tu ni jaribu kabisa kufikia pahali ambapo nitafika Nairobi. Najua ilikuwa ni kazi ambayo ilichukua siku mingi sana kufika Nairobi.
Kila siku ya Jumatano kuanzia saa 1:30 hadi saa 2:30. Ungana naye Elizabeth Mutuku. Usikose.
It is said that cooking is one of the greatest gifts you can give those you love, because nothing brings people together like good food. Join Chef Hamadi every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. as he teaches us some simple and quick recipes, only on The Throwdown.
You are the mighty God, the great I am. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
This and every Sunday, TV47 brings church straight to your home.
Come, worship straight from your home as we bring you the Sunday church service at the All Saints Cathedral from 11 a.m.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
He is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wa Nyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP na TNA na vyama vingine tanzu, ndio tukaunda chama inaitwa Jubilee.
Mijadala komavu kuhusu yanayokuhusu, na zaidi ya yote tunakupa nafasi kumfahamu kiongozi wako katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi.
Yako kama mtoto ilikuwa gani?
Mimi nilizaliwa, sasa najuaje maisha ilikuwa.
Wakati namuuliza maisha.
Kwanza ilikuwa tu ni jaribu kabisa kufikia pahali ambapo nitafika Nairobi. Najua ilikuwa ni kazi ambayo ilichukua siku mingi sana kufika Nairobi.
Kila siku ya Jumatano kuanzia saa 1:30 hadi saa 2:30. Ungana naye Elizabeth Mutuku, usikose.
Welcome back to TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi. Faisal Haji Ali says he's watching from Nairobi. Let's get to more news. And Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko has declined to ascend to the Nairobi County Appropriation Bill 2020. Sonko cited a 5.8 billion budget deficit. The 31.6 billion shillings 2020-2021 budget was passed by the Nairobi County Assembly, projecting a 37.5 billion shillings expenditure. He further accused the County Assembly of illegally amending the budget. He has also lamented of the allocation of an entire budget lines for functions transferred to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services.
We should have appropriated for the functions, please. Yeah, what transferred.
Okay, here we are. Where's my pen? Okay, I have reviewed the budget that was passed by the Nairobi County Assembly. I've identified the various inconsistencies with the Constitution of Kenya, the Public Finance Management Act, and the County Government Acts. It is for this reason that I return this bill to the County Assembly for further consideration as provided for in Section 24 of the County Government Act. So,
keep talking to us. Your opinion matters. Your voice counts. Share with us your thoughts. And as far as the stories that we air in are concerned, of course, you as the viewer matters on the county's television. We will always incorporate your views and opinions in all that we broadcast to you. Remember, you're watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi. A Thursday evening in which we are bringing you live news from our studios here in Nairobi, bringing to you stories that affect you at an individual level and, of course, the nation at wide. Let's get to more stories now. And many semi-educated youth find it hard to find jobs, especially in towns and cities in Kigali because of the high competition and abundance of skilled people in urban centers. In Kigali, many young people have opted to operate bicycle taxis to earn a living and also improve their standards of living. Diana Iriza from Kigali, Rwanda is working on that story and will be coming on our way shortly. Keep talking to us. The hashtag to use is TV47 News with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi. Remember, our topic of discussion tonight is the Msambweni duel in as far as the politics is concerned. Our guest tonight in this one-on-one interview is Kilifi North lawmaker Owen Baya, who joins us on the broadcast now. Good evening, Mheshimiwa. Thank you for making time for us tonight.
Yes, can you hear me?
All right, Mheshimiwa, I can hear you well. 3 weeks ago, to be exact, on the 24th of last month, you, among other coastal leaders, accompanied an independent candidate to the residency of the Deputy President. First, was that a public endorsement from you as an ODM lawmaker of an independent candidate in the Msambweni by-election?
What I did was to introduce a person who has political ambition to somebody who he thought would give him help, and that is what I did.
So when the party ODM, for this matter, accuses you of playing its own party, you find that as just but mere accusations?
Those are just mere accusations which do not hold any water, because at that particular time there is no election that is being conducted, and at the same time this person had not even declared interest or has really enrolled for a political party position or to vie for a political party position. He was still speculating on what he needed to do. Even the ODM window at that time was still open. So I do not think that we violated anything.
But you will understand why your party reacted in this manner, isn't it? You are, and you will tell us if you still are, the deputy organizing secretary of the party. One wouldn't expect someone of that rank in the party to go to the deputy president's house and be accompanied by an independent person.
Now, I want to tell you this. You see, in this country, as we are today, currently situated, the deputy president is the deputy president in a Jubilee government in which the president and our party leader are cooperating. And the presidency has not been split yet. The presidency is still the same. And that the deputy president is the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, who offers services to any other person in this country. And therefore, a visit to the deputy president's residence does not in any way indicate that you have taken political sides. And you are aware that my party, the ODM party, and the Jubilee party are in cooperation. And if Jubilee has a problem with its leadership, it does not stop me from approaching the office of the deputy president to seek services, if I must. And therefore, I do not see it in any way as an interference with the party or with any other policies of the party, because the party is cooperating with Jubilee. And the deputy president is also the deputy party leader of the Jubilee party of this country.
All right, following that meeting, the party relieved you of your position, and listen to what the party secretary general said. He said, and I quote, cognizant of the central role that the party's NEC in the management of the party and the need to maintain the probity of its deliberations, the NEC resolved to suspend Honorable Owen Baya, you, the MP for Kilifi North, from membership of the critical organ and from his position as the deputy organizing secretary, given his recent utterances. The party says and accuses you of quoting the wrong side of its political side.
No, interestingly, that meeting that was held at the party was on, or I think was on a Thursday or Friday. My visit to the deputy president was on a Thursday. Now, this decision to suspend me had already been made, even before the visit. And I can tell you for sure, this suspension or whatever it is had already been decided. And I can also tell you the reasons why I was suspended. One, because I had opposed the party's position on the revenue formula. The party had a position on revenue sharing formula, which was not auguring well with my community, with where I come from, with my county. And therefore, you remember I went on the steps of Parliament with other colleagues to make issue a press statement on our position as a community and as a region on what was happening in Senate and the party's position on the same. So this suspension has nothing to do with my visit. My suspension has everything to do with what I said at the steps of Parliament. Secondly, It has everything to do about what I said about the deputy party leader, that he had said certain things. And as an independent thinker, I think it is within my democratic right to say things and criticize leaders who I think are not saying the right things for my region. He said that, there's no poverty. There are no poor people in the coast region. And I told him off. And there's a video that went viral. And that rubbed people the wrong way. And therefore, when I was in Parliament on the same day when the suspension, the following day, the day before the suspension, I was in Parliament and I was called by one of the party bigwigs, and they told me that they would suspend me, not because of my visit, but because I had taken a position contrary to the party leader on the issue of the revenue formula, and that I had criticized the deputy party leader, Ali Hassan Joho, on how he was handling the coast region. And these are the two reasons why I was suspended and not the visit.
All right, and now that you clarify the reasons as to why you in your own view believe you are suspended, will you still go ahead and support the independent candidate in the Msambweni by-election, or you will stick with the candidate fronted by your party?
Now, I want to say this, and I want to say this with clarity of mind. You see, the candidate that is an independent candidate is the nephew of my friend, the late Honorable Suleiman Dori. So Suleiman Dori was not only a friend, but he was a relative. And as family, we said this young man can go ahead and contest this position. And when I told Faisal, go to Msambweni, go to Likoni, to Msambweni, to Ukunda actually, when the party leader was coming to Likoni, and go and tell them that you are seeking the party ticket. But when he went there, he was blocked from accessing the meeting. That is the first thing. He was blocked from accessing the meeting.
Blocked by who?
By the party mandarins in the coast region. Because they said that his uncle, the late Suleiman Dori, had actually been not in very good books with them. And you also know how Suleiman Dori died. Suleiman Dori died a very sad man because the party had suspended him and they were about to expel him, if you remember what had happened. And therefore, there are people in Mombasa who up to today have never forgiven a dead man. And therefore, they thought they would punish him even further by denying his nephew an opportunity to run on the ODM ticket. And these are facts. And therefore, when I tried to intervene to have Faisal actually be considered for an ODM ticket, he was pushed away and nobody wanted. They said they already had two candidates, one Omar Boga and the other one Nicolas Zani, and therefore they did not want a third person on the ticket, to run for the ticket. Fair enough. There are people who own the party who think they are more party members than some of us. And therefore the family decided that Faisal needed to seek an opportunity to run on an independent ticket. As a member of the family, I had a decision to make. A decision to make. That here is my party rejecting a proposal that we are making. And for your information, the first right of refusal when a person dies, when a member of parliament dies, has always been given to the family. We saw Ken Okoth in Kibra. We saw Kajwang in Homa Bay. We saw Nyenze, when the husband died, Edith was given an opportunity. We have seen these many examples. Why was it very difficult for ODM to give the Dori family the first right of refusal on this matter? Yes. Why did they want him out? But you also already know they had these plans of getting Dori out. From Nanin. And unfortunately, the late Suleiman Dori supposed to his death.
And let me interject you at that point. You talk of they had this plan, you talk of party owners. Who in reference are you specifically talking about?
No. You know, see, in Mombasa, there are people who think they think that because they have the resources, more than some of us, more than, those of us who are like Akinayahe within the party, they can make decisions. And the people in Mombasa who control the party, and therefore, because they had a problem with Suleiman Dori because he used to tell them the truth, I think they can punish him even in death. They can even punish the family father by embarrassing and humiliating Dori's nephew. And this is the position that I say no to, you know. Faisal should have, the family of Suleiman Dori should have been given the first right of refusal, just like has happened in any other part of this country when a member of parliament dies.
All right, fair enough, Mheshimiwa, you've made your point in as far as who should have been considered for that ticket is concerned. Let's move from Sambweni to the question of land in the coastal region, which is a very emotive issue often in these debates and discussions. In Madaraka Day celebrations of 2019 at Karisa Maida grounds, you said statements that you were grilled over, and I read that statements on air. You said, and I quote, "We will not allow anyone who is not a native of this county to evict people from their ancestral land. The land in Kilifi," you said, "belongs to Mijikenda." That's wrong, isn't it? The land in Kilifi is part of Kenya that belongs to Kenyans, isn't it, Mheshimiwa?
You see, I would like to say this. This country as it is, and you know, God had a plan and a way. You know, of ensuring that he puts certain tribes in certain regions, you know, and that is a fact that we cannot run away from. The land in Kilifi is Kenya. Kilifi is Kenya, but there are people who belong there, and they have a right to ancestral lands, and this is something that we cannot run away from. A person can come to Kilifi, buy land, or is allocated land by government and settle down, and we have absolutely no problem with that. If today you are allocated land in Kilifi by government, I will respect that because you're a Kenyan and you have a right to land. If you come to Kilifi and buy land and say, I have bought this land because I have the money and the willing seller or willing buyer, I will respect that. But if you come and grab forcefully land that belongs to Kilifi, then you'll have a problem with me.
But you didn't talk of land being grabbed. You talked of the land in Kilifi belonging to the Mijikenda. You didn't specify grabbed land.
And that is absolutely correct, because if you go to central Kenya, you know the people who live there. You go to Nyanza, you know the people who live there. If you go to Kilifi, you know also the people who live there. But there is this tendency of people who come to grab land, or they go to the Ministry of Lands and falsify documents and come and say that they have taken this land, and yet there are people who are living on that piece of land, and they come and forcefully evict them by using the local administrator. So what I did, and I want to stand on my position, is that if you have bought land, that's okay. You have been allocated rightfully land by government in Kilifi, that's okay. But if you go and falsify documents and grab land in Kilifi, we will not allow you to do that.
So you have no problem with Section 40 of Kenya's 2010 Constitution that guarantees a right to land, isn't it? Just for purpose of clarity.
Yes, I have no problem. The right to land must be respected. But how you got the land is more, the process on how you got the land is very important. If you just came in and took away land through force and you're evicting people who have lived there, who have, that is their customary, not customary, but that is community land. But because you have way into the Ministry of Lands and go and get papers, forged papers, and you come and try to evict people, we'll also use the law against you and tell you, no, you cannot do this. You need to respect the indigenous people.
All right, Owen Bayer, thank you, Mheshimiwa, for making time for us. Kilifi North lawmaker, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi. Let's get to the world of sports now.
Sports, brought to you by 555bet.
Let's get sporty, and the Kenya Premier League side Sofapaka have signed KCB captain for a fee estimated to be around 1.3 million Kenya shillings. The centre-back, who has penned a 2-year deal, is the second million shillings player to be snubbed by Batoto Bamungu after the club splashed 1 million shillings to land Isaac Mitima from Rwanda's Army Patriotic. KCB has appointed Simon Abuko as the new club captain ahead of the new season. Still in the Kenyan Premier League, and newbies Bidco United are unfazed by the seemingly difficult opening fixtures of the Kenya Premier League. The debutant begin their campaign against Posta Rangers on November 22nd.